Greetings, everyone. My name is Bob King, and I'm speaking to you from somewhere deep in the wilds of Nevada. Well, not all that deep and not all that wild, but it is Nevada. And I'm your local, friendly, neighborhood, libertarian iconoclast. And I have a few observations for today that I think you might find interesting. As you can tell, I don't really pay much attention to appearances and first impressions. I rely on my words for that. I suppose that's an unreasonable expectation, but I do it anyway. So, what I really want to talk to you about is the thing that I stumbled across this morning when I logged onto my site, graphictruth.com.
Bill O'Reilly and Melanie Morgan have something in common today. They're both featured on Media Matters for whining about how Media Matters takes them out of context. Apparently, media matters. But since Media Matters has as its entire claim to fame the habit of exhaustively documenting the context of the remarks they focus on, it's an amazingly foolish thing to say, and I gauge that by the high standards of foolishness set by KSFO and faux news over the past several years. People in public position should not whine about their documented misstatements being criticized. It's unprofessional and it's embarrassing. If one cannot bring oneself to address the criticism or amend one's ways, one should at least do as the New York Times has always done. Bury a grumble of acknowledgement as deeply as possible, or better yet, simply ignore the critics entirely. One should never ever give critics even more opportunity for general hilarity at the expense of one's dignity, and one should never ever make it easy for people to check out the allegations for themselves, not when your entire livelihood depends on one's audience remaining entirely uninformed about your factual accuracy and specifics and comprehension of essential issues in general. Media Matters can be found with a simple Google search by name. It contains not just one or two examples of misstatements, lies, and clear misrepresentations, or worse yet, complete misunderstandings of easily documented facts. It documents racist remarks, sexist remarks, hateful remarks, and comprehensively stupid remarks. And there are many examples of each from both of you. Over the years, both of you have provided Media Matters with megabytes of ammunition. It would seem to me that the last thing you would wish to do is to call attention to this damning repository, but both of you mentioned it by name on the air. Are you so secure in the willful ignorance of your listeners, and in Bill's case of the Irish people, that you can simply assert that Media Matters is taking you out of context and misrepresenting your words when anyone in this wide-wired world can check without much effort at all? This is aside from the fact that in referring to them, you have provided them with more free publicity than George Soros has provided dollars. Both Morgan and O'Reilly accuse Media Matters of being out to get them, out to destroy their livelihoods. And as desirable and as laudable as that goal is, it's not actually in the interests of Media Matters to do that. If either of you were responsible commentators who followed, say, the principles outlined in first-year journalism, or were held by your producers to comments permissible within the bounds of the Associated Press style guide, Media Matters would have little impact on you. They are not threatening your livelihood. You are, by being a visible embarrassment to intelligent conservatives and a sudden strategic liability to Republicans who want to survive politically beyond 2008. But go ahead, do please continue whining about how persecuted you are for holding the opinions you do and being courageous in your refusal to adhere to political correctness. What both of you refer to as political correctness is what I was raised to refer to as common decency and courtesy, things that are the hallmark of ladies and gentlemen engaged in polite, decent society and worthy of respect and regard. Both of you, and this is entirely aside from your politics, have established your lack of authority and lack of respectability in ways that are obvious to all but your most fanatical supporters, well, and apparently yourselves. You have both become pathetic figures of fun, unintentional comic relief, rich and unmissable targets of satire. Neither of you deserve your jobs, but you may be allowed to keep them simply for your amusement value. After all, your absence from the scene will make it that much more difficult to discredit modern social conservatism. Some of us might actually have to work a little.